Hi, I'm Ruescas. I'm a human optimization strategist, and today we're going to talk about breathwork. So, why to talk about breathwork? That is the question. In order to understand what breathwork is, we need to understand what is the nervous system. The nervous system is a conduit from which all the environmental stimuli comes to our awareness, our physiological awareness, and then they get sent to the brain where we create a reality. Likewise, when we are thinking about something, that same thought gets translated into electricity and gets conveyed and gets transported throughout the body. Now, the point is this: when the nervous system receives too much stress, that starts loading up, and that is called allostatic load. Now, when that allostatic load has not been properly discharged, well, what it happens is that we start getting into a suboptimal functioning of the nervous system. The common symptoms of that are usually headaches or stomach aches or stiffness in the neck, in some muscles, even ruminating thoughts, anxiety, depression, you name it. So, the nervous system is autonomous, which means that even though the stress gets accumulated, we cannot simply turn on and off the nervous system to clean it up, but we can influence it. The way to influence the nervous system is through breathing. Now, breathing is, like I mentioned, an autonomous process in our body. We are unconsciously breathing in different patterns. And that is when breathwork becomes important, because breathwork is the conscious use of breathing techniques. Meaning, if you at this moment don't realize what is your breathing pattern, the moment that I say focus on your breath or become aware of your own breath, automatically you can notice if you're at the inhale, at the exhale, or maybe even you're holding your breath. Right? So breathwork, like I mentioned, is a series of breathing techniques that they may go from the most relaxed and calm ones to the most intense and forceful ones, and anything in between. Like I mentioned, breath holds are very important as well, because when we're holding our breath, we're consciously putting a brake on an autonomous process. And by harnessing the different types of breathing techniques that we can use at any time, therefore we can influence our nervous system for good. So what are the common benefits of breathwork? I call breathwork a twofold technology because it helps us heal and thrive. So what does healing mean? Well, like I mentioned, if this allostatic load is too high in our system, then we have those symptoms that I also mentioned previously. So when we start influencing our nervous system, we can start offloading that kind of allostatic load. And also that is involved with trauma and all sorts of other diseases, physiological, mental, and psychological. Now, that's the reason I'm doing several research around that, and I invite you to follow along for upcoming research papers that I will deploy on that. Now, the second type is thriving. What I mean by thriving, it is when your nervous system is already working at an optimal level, then that is when probably our brain is able to create new synapses, which means new ideas. Therefore, people, when they are practicing most of the time hyperventilation, or what I call superventilation techniques, they come up with different ideas for problems that they were trying to solve. Basically, they're becoming more creative. Like I mentioned, that is part of the research that I'm doing, and I invite you to follow up with what I'm doing to get to know more about it. So, how to practice breathwork? There are so many techniques, so many apps, so many facilitators, not only online, but I bet that they are nearby where you are right now. My advice is to start with anything that calls your curiosity. At the end of the day, it is not that there is one single type of breathing technique that is the top one. No, what I invite you to do is to explore and craft your own breathing practice. Obviously, you have to also have some considerations. For example, not all the breathing techniques are for everyone. What do I mean by this? Some of the most intense breathing techniques, like holotropic breath work, somatic breath work, rebirthing, etc., they could be very intense for some kind of people. And for example, I would advise women that are pregnant or people with current neurological diseases to take a little bit of a pause there and don't jump into a superventilation practice straightforward, but instead talk to a facilitator firsthand. Now, if you want to know more, and even better, if you want to practice, I invite you to subscribe to the newsletter and also follow me in all the social media platforms. Until we meet next time, keep breathing, keep optimizing.